Hey, people, residents of Linn County, have we got something going on this year that's out of the norm? Have you noticed all the wrecks here, especially in the north part of Linn County? Below Staten, all the way to down, we'll say, Albany area, and then back the other direction up towards Lyons. There's something going on this year, I'm telling you, it's out of the norm. We've had so many wrecks. If you drive up and down Staten Side Road, 226, Highway 22, Highway 20, Kingston, Jordan, all of those roads in between here, like I said, in the northern part of Linn County. Now, I know a lot of stuff has happened in the Sweet Home area recently, but we don't reside in that area. We don't know much about what's happened down there. But from what I've seen and heard, word of mouth, a lot of wrecks. Green Peter area, Detroit. Of course, that's to be expected with Holly DeTravers. But what I've noticed is unbelievable around here. Folks, like I've talked about in my other videos, why would somebody drive off the road in the middle of broad daylight with no obstacles, not on drugs, not drunk, no excuse? It's getting to be a thing around here. There has been so much of it in the last year, 6 months especially, from about early spring to now, late summer, in this area. It is unbelievable. Drive up and down Highway 20. Drive up and down Richardson Gap. It looks like someone's been out there with black spray paint. Black marks everywhere. And you know what, folks? Every time you see those white lines, orange lines, and you see skid marks, I'm going to tell you that was in death investigation. If you didn't hear about it, you know exactly what happened there weeks later. There has been so many that I've lost track.
But the bigger point is that we then can't find any information about them. So we've had to go as far as calling to follow up, and there's no press release, there's no statement, there's no names. You hear a little bit, you know, like the Tennessee Road one. We heard that, but you go digging and there's nothing.
It is something to really keep your eye on. And folks, you know what? I understand people have been getting blamed this year for posting pictures of accidents. Somebody fires back and says, hey, you can't be posting people's wrecked cars and vehicles. And you know what, folks? If you were there and you saw the whole thing, maybe you took some pictures, I hate to say it, but good for you, because later on, this usually goes into a legal battle, especially if it affects you or your neighbor's property. Folks, take pictures.
Yep.
As long as somebody's not bleeding out or there's blood and guts everywhere, kids, you need to take pictures and video. It is for your own good, and it is for the victim and the person who caused the accident later on. Like I said, when these accidents get cleaned up, it doesn't just go away that day or that night. This goes on for months, maybe even years into a lawsuit. And what those people can gather way down the road is much in need, and it is big time help for them. I want to get into something else. I don't mean to point fingers at the Linn County Sheriff's Department in any way, shape, or form. But when a wreck happens, whether somebody dies or not, multiple people, single people, no matter how many vehicles are involved, there has got, and I mean highlight this, there has got to be an agency-released crash report within a few hours. Let me tell you why. This puts people in a huge bind. This puts people's careers on hold, their housing, everything that they've worked for is put on hold. Let me tell you, think about insurance companies. The insurance companies don't go off of hearsay. They don't go off of this people, what this person said, or what that person said over here. They go off an official law enforcement agency report. If they do not release that report, guess what? The truck that got wrecked by this drunk person over here, or these people that came out and pulled out in front of you, that is all put on hold. You do not get compensation, especially if there is medical. None of this is covered, guys, unless they get a report from law enforcement. And if they do not release it for a month or two, which we've saw in several cases this year, everybody is on hold. The insurance company can't do anything. There is no checks being written. There is nothing happening besides maybe a rental car. An investigator comes out and takes some pictures, does an interview, and that's all that happens for months.
One of the things we talked about too was since there's no longer really little town newspapers, not in print anymore. So people are relying, we think, too heavily on social media community pages to report the stuff out, but then you don't have anyone who's got credentials actually able to speak on behalf of one of these agencies, because they probably need to have somebody from their agency authorized to do so, and there is no real true public forum to do that anymore. These small towns and communities have these community groups, and you're one person or a few people running it as an admin, and they are also biased, or they know somebody, or they're the ones critical. So there's no neutral third party to report this stuff anymore without newspapers, and I think that's a big part of why it's so hard to get information as well.
It seems like literally people that run these Facebook pages. Now, you know what? I'm not saying anything about a certain page or a certain person that runs it, because there's all kinds of them around here.
Yes.
And these people have got their nose so far up faceplant. Anytime they see something they don't like, bingo, taking it off, taking it off, taking it off. All the comments
So
gone.
the
Can't
bias
comment on this
is
post.
embedded.
The pictures are gone. Everything's gone.
Yep.
Nobody knows
People
nothing.
are blocked. People are.
And you know what? And I hate to say it, but whatever's going on with all these wrecks around here and not being published and put on, somebody's either protecting a shoestring cousin or a distant relative that used to be involved in law enforcement 30 years ago. It's something like that. If you get down deep and unravel the covers, it'll probably be something like that. We're not going into conspiracy theories. We're going off of facts here, guys. I want to go over some of these wrecks that have happened this year in our area that have been serious wrecks. People died because of this. Why? It'd be nice to get to the bottom of it. But here's something else. Like I was saying, agencies haven't been releasing the crash reports, and if they have, they've been months down the road. Bits and parts, information's mixed around here and there. Let's say you've known a guy in this area that's worked here in the Scioto Staten area. It's been here for 30 or 40 years. Don't know where he lives, but you know the guy and you've known him since you were a kid. Say his name's Bob. Well, you've seen Bob around for the last 30 years, and all of a sudden for the last 6-8 months you haven't seen Bob. Nobody knows nothing about him. Well, come to find out, Bob died 6 months ago from a head-on crash from a drunk person, and nobody knows nothing. So you lost your friend that you've known forever, probably your folks' friend. You've missed his celebration of life and his funeral. Now you're telling your people because you just learned 6 months later that your friend has died. So now you're all pissed off because why did I have to find that out damn near a year later? That's sad. To me, that's upsetting. And that's what's going on around here. Like I said, it is putting people in huge problematic spots because insurance companies are having to tap their foot and wait around because people are deciding to suppress information.
Right.
I think it's a serious deal.
What about the crash that happened in front of our house?
That's right. We had a wreck. We had a wreck right in front of our house, and that's part of the reason why we made this video, folks, in the first place. We can get to that one later. There was no fatalities, but it is a strange. Yeah, it was a strange deal, let me tell you. So let's get into this one that happened on Richardson Gap. We had a wreck here, I believe it was August 8th, right here on Richardson Gap, just down the road, literally 8 miles from here. Like I said, straight piece of road, broad daylight, no alcohol. Somebody had pulled into somebody's driveway and decided that that wasn't the right spot, decided to come back out into two-way traffic. Didn't see, didn't know, maybe the sun was in the eyes, whatever excuse it was. Caused somebody to run off the road because they were avoiding them, and they went right into a tree.
Died instantly, I think, on that one. That's what we have heard on that one.
No alcohol, drugs involved, just stupidity. And whatever you want to say about accidents and this and that, folks, let me tell you, if you have no excuse to drive off the road in the daylight because you were too busy on your phone or you didn't look around over your shoulders just like you're taught when you get your driver's license, you have no excuse to cause an accident. That means it's not an accident. And when you're drunk and under the influence, you do not have an excuse to call it an accident because it is not an accident. I get sick and tired of people around here calling it an accident when find out that this person over here that caused the wreck was drunk or stoned out of their mind. It is not an accident, folks.
Not if you're intoxicated.
So there's that wreck, August 8th. Feel bad for the guy and the people that were involved and the people that had to witness this. I have a friend that lives right across the way from that. Saw the whole thing. Didn't need that in his life. Let's talk about this wreck. This is a little more serious. Then again, on a straight piece of road, broad daylight, no alcohol involved.
Which one?
This is the Tennessee
Tennessee
Road and
Road.
226
Okay, yeah,
with the
morning.
Frank's truck
Yeah.
and the people that pulled out in the Buick. This is a disturbing one, guys. If you don't know the facts on this, listen up. So we have two Japanese exchange students from overseas, 15 years old. They're here temporarily. Everything is fine. Think about this. You send your kid from Japan over to the United States, which is known to be one of the safest countries in the world, just so your kid can get hit by a Kenworth and die on scene. One passed away, the other one was flown and
Critical.
in critical condition.
We
The
never-
driver perished, and I believe they were local, 55 years
Yeah.
old, died on scene. Nobody knows nothing.
At least it hasn't been released.
Yeah,
formally.
and you know what? If
Formally.
you look at that intersection, folks, you can drive by there, and it looks like, it looks like a war zone. You can see what happened. I've seen the Kenworth. Seen it right up face. You can see exactly what happened, what corner they hit. It should never have happened. An accident, like I was saying, is not an accident. And when you make it more confusing by not telling the public, and folks, you know what? The public has a right to know. And by doing so, the public knows, all your friends and family know that are distant. Another thing is, it's called public accountability as well. Think about this. You drive to work today, and you go through that intersection just about every day, and you think to yourself, there was a wreck that happened there last week, and some people died. Gee, maybe I should slow down and look both ways. Folks, do you guys remember the DARE program in the 80s and 90s when they actually showed kids crash scenes and what happens when you get on drugs and you drink and drive? They don't do that anymore. Why don't they do that anymore? Those videos and courses and everything that they showed saved lives back in the day. And it still could. If schools and education programs weren't so flimsy in this country. I want to talk to you about another one. This one's even worse. Many of you don't even know this happens, but you have seen the actual, I'll call it a crime scene, the actual memorial. You can't miss it. It's a corner that I go through just about every day, right there on 226. And I run heavy trucks through there, folks. Even though the speed limit's 55, I don't think you can necessarily make it through that corner at 55 safely with 5 axles or 7 axles or many, whether you're loaded or not. It's too fast right there in that corner. And it widens out too, which is better in case you got to get over. But so many incidents happen right there between Brewster Road and Fish Hatchery. This wreck, folks, happened in 2023. It was the first part of 2023. I remember when this happened. And this shouldn't have happened. Let me tell you about the guy named Travis Longo. He was 20 years old from Albany. Now this kid, I'm going to call him a kid because I don't believe in the United States an average grown male isn't an adult until he's after late 20s. 25, 28. The human brain when you're a male doesn't stop growing until you're in your late 20s.
That's been recognized.
Yeah, it has. And people don't figure that out.
25 years old.
Some people don't act like they're growing up until they're 50, you know? It's getting to be a thing around here, but another video for another time. So, let's talk about this. This kid, 20 years old, the year prior, before any of this happened, got in trouble for the same thing. He had one of his buddies in the rig. They went off the road, did some damage to private property. There was a few tempers that were flared. They both walked away. This kid should not have had a driver's license, and even if he did, maybe he still would have done what happened. But he was going over 100 miles an hour. I believe he was driving a Hyundai. And you know what? In all these situations here, a Kia and a Hyundai were involved here. Not saying in the last wrecks, but you know, I've already done a video on Hyundais and Kias. You know exactly what I think about them. Everybody, almost everybody involved in the situation had passed away. Not talking about cars. Sidetracked there. Anyways, this kid was going 100 miles an hour when he tried to round this corner. Jessica Petrime, 29 of Sile, was coming home from work. She was heading back to Scio, up here at the fish hatchery, just a little ways down here from where we live. And she had her 18-month-old baby in the car, in the back seat. Belted upright, situated in the car seat, as should. She died instantly on impact. Not to mention, Travis Longo had 2 females with him in that vehicle when he was trying to go around the corner 100 miles an hour. Killed them instantly, and himself. She, in the Kia, had an 18-month-old baby in the back seat, and the only one to get out of that alive was the 18-month-old baby. Broken arm or a wrist, something like that. It was something
Fairly minor.
barely minor. Let me tell you about this. We talk about people not getting informed the proper way. Her husband, which was Jessica's husband, worked down here at the fish hatchery. She didn't come home, and time went on, and he knew something was wrong. So what's he do? He gets in his vehicle, folks, and he drives and starts going to Albany, to her workplace, because nobody was picking up. Nobody knew where she was. He drives into that scene and finds that. Baby's already been airlifted. She's out of the car. Got these other 3 people that are deceased over here. Can you imagine that? Talk about informing the public and a public accountability. Can you imagine that?
No.
Driving to your wife's work and getting halfway there and finding that.
No.
What's going on around here, guys? Let's talk about the hay trucks. How many hay trucks have we seen on their side this year? A 40 and a shorty. Guys, if you can't drive a 40 and a shorty, leave the 20-footer at home. If you can't strap the damn things down, strap them down. I know it takes time. Don't be hauling hay when it's wet outside and be in a hurry because you don't want the hay to get wet. Whatever it is, alfalfa, hay.
The big bent grass.
Look at what happened up at home. Tipped one over, knocked the power pole over. Those guys were out of power for damn near a whole day.
Yeah.
226. Let's talk about the wreck that happened right in State and Sour Road.
Yep.
This is one for the books, guys. Of course, you can't find anything on the internet, and I mean anything. And this is one of the situations that I just talked about that utilizes everything wrong, step by step, how everything went wrong from front to back, and it's still not over. So June 25th, of course, I can't find anything. I don't have any notes on it because it doesn't exist. So June 25th of this year, we had a guy that we actually know. Not going to mention any names because he's a decent guy. He's been here in the Scio community for a long time. Everybody knows the guy. He was coming home from Staten, going to Scio, Staten Scio Road, about 7:40 at night, just before dark, in an unloaded W900 Kenworth. A girl coming from Scio, going towards Staten, that had just been reported passing vehicles at a high rate of speed, doesn't make the corner and hits him head on. He tried to avoid her and rode the shoulder, and he got it down to about 40, 45 miles an hour before she hit. Even if he wasn't there, she would have never made that corner. And God, I'm telling you, if it wasn't him, it would have been a car, and she'd have killed whoever was in that car instantly.
Yeah.
Now, this girl, we don't know her name. Linn County hasn't released anything on her whatsoever.
And we own property there, and they should be giving that to us.
Exactly.
There's
Okay,
damage done.
yeah. And the road looks like a battle scene, like
Still.
Tennessee Road and 226. It looks like
Worse, I think.
looks like a jet fighter crash there.
Yeah.
Had a huge fuel spill. We won't get into all the details, folks, but this never should have happened.
But
I'll
it
tell you
impacts
about
property, and it impacts neighbors, and it impacts way more for there to be nothing released.
It does. And you know, we had a fuel spill there, and it was leaking. And you know,
Could be
there's
in
a
our
shared
well.
well right there on the other side. You know, and that's a story for another time. But the main example of this, what I want to get through to you guys, is this girl. I'm going to call her girl because I saw her when she wrecked. That was the second one there when it happened. She was fine. The only reason she lived is because she was drunker than a skunk. This woman couldn't even walk, even if she hadn't been in a wreck. Her foot was pinned underneath the brake and the controls down there. Couldn't have got her out. A brand new Hyundai. parts all over the road. Motor was
Shrapnel.
from here to damn near the river. The car was in one spot.
Transmission.
Motor and tranny was in that spot. The axle in that Kenworth was 50 feet away. Wheels and tires in the field across. I mean, this impact was unbelievable.
Sounded
She
like
should
a
never.
bomb.
It sounded like somebody was
Yeah.
lighting off mortars. I
More-
mean,
yeah, more than
that's
that.
what I thought it was when we came out of the shop. But long story short, she shouldn't live. Now, we've got the driver of the truck, which was fine. He had a little scrape on his knee, climbed out of the truck, everything was fine, was helping with the situation. We were trying to get everything off the road so fire and
Yeah.
EMS could actually drive up to where the vehicle was. It looked like a minefield. Batteries everywhere, wheels all over the place. You couldn't have rode a bicycle into the crash scene because there was so much SHIT all over the road, fuel everywhere. You wouldn't want to drive through there. But some people did.
Yeah.
We won't mention who was driving through the minefield with live batteries and diesel fuel all over the place, but that should never have happened. Story for another time. So, get into the actual nitty and gritty of this situation. This is one that I want you to learn about because it can happen to you, it can happen to anybody, and how you can get royally screwed by something that's not even your fault. Both parties had insurance. Her insurance company is trying to walk from this for unknown reasons because there's a DEQ cleanup which was $30,000 by itself. They came out the following week, dug up both sides of the road, laid down screen and plastic, staked it all. Looked like something out of Area 51, like space aliens had landed. Nobody's like, what the hell's going on here? So everybody's driving real slow, cat litter all over the place. Like I said, it looked like World War III. The problem is, her insurance company don't want to pay for this. So you've got the driver. He's already out of a career because he's got his truck tore up, bent up, past recognition. His insurance company can't do anything because hers doesn't want to play ball. And then you got the sheriff's department, which took days and days and days, a month, to release the actual crash report to the insurance company so they could actually get the ball in motion. And once they did release it, come to find out her liability insurance won't do anything about it. So they're fighting, they're going to court. Meanwhile, you have the driver who can't work and afford to pay his
Truck
bills.
driver.
Yeah,
The truck driver.
because he's got no truck. Doesn't even have a loaner, not even in the equation. This is what the worst thing was. This is the cherry on top. To make it worse, come to find out why law enforcement and fire agencies were acting so suspicious and why her friend showed up on scene instantly after the wreck. And this is, like I said, this is getting really off out in left field, guys. The trunk of her car had drugs in it. And I'm not talking about drugs that you can put in your pocket and walk off with and not notice them from afar. I'm talking about drugs. Drugs enough to put in a trunk of a car. She didn't do any jail time.
Was she even arrested?
Oh, I'm sure she was.
I don't know
After
that
she
we
could
know
walk
that.
and talk, I'm
I
sure
don't-
she was. They
Well,
had
we
to have.
couldn't follow up with it.
I
They
mean, if
wouldn't-
we find out that she wasn't arrested and didn't do
Yeah.
any kind of county booking time, we're going to make another video. We're going to have
No.
other people involved, I think, because that is unbelievable. That should never have happened. The way that this whole thing went down should never have happened. So anyways, long story short, agency doesn't release the crash report. Insurance companies are both waiting around. Once they do have the crash report, they're not going to do anything. Is that how this country is run now? Is that how they do it up north or down south of this county that we live in? No, I don't think so. It makes me furious, especially when I found out the back end of that story, how this played out. Of course, you can't find anything about it. Almost like somebody did it on purpose. Let's talk about the wreck and accident that happened this year. I want to say it was like in April, and this is another fatality. Of course, nobody knows anything. Can't type it in Google. The major news companies don't know anything about it. There's no local paper reporting on it. There was a deal going on. I believe what's that rest stop up there between the bridge of Linn County?
Oh,
Not Beaver Connor.
No, that is.
Was it Beaver Connor?
Yeah, Beaver Connor.
There was a thing with a guy that was reported to supposedly have a gun. and he was waving it around, and there were some other people involved, and so on and so forth. So state police actually shut down the freeway for what, like a whole day?
No, it was several hours, but they rerouted.
It was half a day.
Yeah,
and
it was
happened
a
to be
long
like
time.
from 11 to 5, you know, in the worst part of the day as far as traffic.
Yeah.
Don't know what day of the week. Sure, we can
It was
research
during
it.
it was during the week though, and they rerouted traffic through Jefferson, and because we kept noticing through Scioto.
Yeah, I'm like, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, if they got the Tulip Fest right down the road all of a sudden, and it was
No.
just one car
It
after
was
another,
for
and cars were
for
going
over-
only 20 miles an hour, and
for
they're usually
like over
flying
an
by
hour.
at like 70.
Yeah.
So I knew something was up. So they were coming in through Staten, taking 22, going around Albany, and they were coming down Jefferson side,
Yeah,
coming up the freeway and trying to
yes.
go around that way.
Yeah.
And it just turned into a big cluster.
And then
Where
between
I'm
Jefferson-
going with this is the guy that was reportedly doing whatever he was doing at the rest stop never had a firearm. They never found one. Never took him in. Never charged him with anything. He was released. But the damage had already been done, folks. In
You
doing
spoke with
so,
him. You spoke with him.
I spoke with the
Yes.
guy. He's a nice guy. He's a veteran.
Yeah.
And he is damn near homeless.
Yep.
He's got a nice shitty pickup with a fifth wheel. The guy's a nice guy. He did not come off as like anybody that
Yeah.
that you wouldn't have over for a lunchtime thing or a dinner time event. The guy is a nice guy.
But
He's an
during
older
that-
fellow. He's in his 70s, isn't he?
Yeah, he was older. But during that, what happened between Jefferson and Scioto?
Yeah, let me get into that for a second. But anyways, this guy, folks, he's elderly. He couldn't have done anything to a guy my size or even his own size. So this is what we do to our vets. But what makes it worse, a lot worse, is what happened during that time in shutting the roads down. It caused so much traffic between Jefferson and Scioto. There was somebody, and I won't mention the name, that has been in this community forever, who rides bicycle on the norm in the good weather, who was struck and killed
Yep.
because of the traffic overflow
Right.
coming
From
from
that
west to
incident.
east on Jefferson Scioto Road.
Yep.
Nobody knows nothing. Can't find anything about it. But we all know what happened to her. It was logged in the, what's that called? What's that app there that I like?
Oh.
No, the fire emergency app. Pulse Point.
Pulse Point.
It was logged in Pulse Point, and that's the only thing you can find about it.
Yeah.
It's just gone. So this was caused by an overreaction. We shut down the freeway. And how far is the Deaver Connor parking spots from the freeway?
It's far. There's a route from that area where people travel through Jefferson. There's an exit right there by the rest stop, and the.
It's a distance from the parking spot where the bathrooms are and where the truck parking is to
Right.
the actual freeway.
It is.
North
but
and southbound lanes, both.
if you were worried about somebody actually like an active shooter or something, I could see where they would do that. But this went on for so long.
So
with
riddle me
nothing.
this: when you shut down the freeway
Both-
and you've got
both
cars
directions, I
just
believe.
plugged up every
Yeah.
which direction for miles, and you're trying to call in more law enforcement and possibly a SWAT team to get there, how are you supposed to get there? You're gonna fly them in by a chopper or a Cessna? They got to use the road too. So, anyways, never found a weapon, never had PC, called in the SWAT, and this all went on for hours, and it was something that never needed to happen. And this is what we call cause and effect.
Yeah.
Of course, nobody has gotten the finger pointed at them because there's no facts out there. But we know exactly what happened. A lot of people know exactly what happened around here. But like I said in the first part of the video, guys, what is going on around here? Get off your phones, quit drinking, quit being stupid, going too fast around the corners. None of this should have happened this summer, early spring. All these people should still be alive. And I don't understand when something like this does get posted to social media or whatever it is, Statesman's Journal, why has it been getting taken down?
Well, I don't know that it has actually been.
It has been.
Well, and so I don't know about social media, yes, but I
On
don't.
social media.
But I don't
yeah.
know about like Statesman
The
Journal.
Statesman Journal will probably refuse it
That's
because
yeah,
it's controversial.
right. So I think
They
there's-
want to get involved.
Yeah.
But it is a serious thing, and people are just, not me or not my family, it doesn't matter. Just another day.
we need to bring back like beat reporters.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Great. You know what? And let me tell you this. Riddle me this. We live in a small community here in Linn County. Scioto, Staten, Jefferson, Sweet Home. Folks, the stuff that's happening around here, this isn't Linn County, rural Oregon stuff. This is what you expect to hear in LA, Seattle, Portland, that kind of thing. That's why people come to live out here in the first place, is to get away from that kind of crap. And they come out here. Imagine Japanese, like I said, coming all the way here, experiencing something in their life, making the trip overseas, at 15 years old, just to come here and get killed because somebody couldn't turn their shoulder and look both ways. By a seasoned driver on a straight piece of road in broad daylight. How is that possible?
We're getting complacent in our safety. We're getting complacent in our driving. We're getting complacent on electronics. And everybody, I think, just is in too much of a rush.
People aren't holding up their ends of the bark these days. Insurance companies, it's unbelievable. How many things have happened on that corner of State and Cy Road?
Oh my gosh, when we're there working on the house, there's something just today.
We don't mess around out in the driveway. Because
No.
God forbid somebody come around the corner. I see all these bikes coming through. And you know what, folks? I got nothing bad to say about farmers, people who are putting up hay. Those are the people that make the country go around.
But do it responsibly.
But do it and learn from the old timers how to drive a truck.
How to strap down the hay.
Should hold a ratchet strap etiquette class in downtown
Yes.
Scioto is what we should do.
I don't think it's Scioto. I think
It's a lot of these people around here.
it's all the whole. It's wider than that. It's bigger than that.
I'm ranting, but anyway, and you know what? You think that we're exaggerating this or blowing this out of proportion. When people are dying and getting killed and nobody has a reason why, there's no answer to it, it is a big deal. It's a serious big deal. It should never happen like that. And you know what? We need to hold the public accountable. I mean, they're trying. They're making some effort. Look what we did on Richardson Gap. We put the rumble strips in.
Yes.
The stop signs are as big as a,
Yeah.
as big as a sign, a poster board. Not doing the trick. Look at the guy that lives there on the corner. All these fences up and down 226. These people can hardly keep their fence up, guys. There's black streaks, and you follow the black streaks all the way into someone's property. There's the fence laid down. Oh, geez, I wonder what happened last night. Sounds like a rough Saturday night to me. Look at the tracks. This is getting to be like an every weekend thing around here. And you know, it's sad. A lot of these people that are causing wrecks or getting into wrecks, they're not from around here. So I can't beat up on the locals too bad.
No.
There's no excuse. No excuse for complacency. Something needs to change. This isn't Los Angeles County. This isn't Seattle. Grow up. Learn how to drive. If you guys have any questions or comments, any more wrecks that have happened that have been suppressed, we'd like to know about it. Leave some comments. I'm sure this is going to piss a lot of you off, but you know what? If you get your feelings hurt and to learn a lesson at the same time, it's not such a bad thing. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.